Welcome back to
I Wasn't Prepared for This.
We come to you from the Jet Center and are proud Conroe ISD educators who understand the reality of serving in public education. In the last episode, we spoke about our own perspective on education. We promised that this season we would bring outside perspectives. And today we have our very first guest, Dr. Curtis Null.
Wow.
Welcome at the table.
I'm honored to be the first guest. Thank you.
Yes. Our goal for today is to gain your perspective on your educational journey to becoming superintendent. But before we get started on the serious business, we want to play a game of this or that
Okay.
to get to know you a little better and break the ice. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
LSU or Florida?
Oh, Florida. I didn't know it's going to be this easy. That's easy. Okay. Very
Universal Studios or Disney?
easy. Disney, no doubt.
Lemon cake or chocolate cake?
Lemon cake.
Oh, wait, can I get a why with some of these things? Why lemon cake and not chocolate cake?
Because lemon cake
Because
is the best.
lemon cake is the best.
All times of year?
Yeah.
Oh,
is there
yeah.
a season for lemon cake?
Yes, there is. Spring.
No.
Absolutely not.
It's a good thought. But lemon cake's good all times.
All right, a Corvette or a Mustang?
Both? I don't know.
No. It's this or that.
The Mustang.
Okay. And last but not least, Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Well, since we are recording this the day before a week-long Thanksgiving break, I could say Thanksgiving, but the answer is Christmas. Always Christmas.
Okay. Good.
Favorite season.
I feel like that's a very popular opinion. And for those of you listening, this is Jenna, and I get to be here with these wonderful educators today. And Dr. Null may have noticed I am wearing my Conroe academic letter jacket.
Oh.
I did have a little bit of a complex in high school because I didn't get the black Letterman jacket, which was athletic based, but I was able to letter in academics and get my jacket. So here I am feeling sentimental during this holiday season, which makes me want to ask you, Dr. Null, are you a Conroe ISD graduate?
I am not a Conroe
Okay.
ISD graduate.
Where did you graduate
So
from?
I graduated from C. King High School, which is in Sheldon ISD, northeast Harris County. So that's where I grew up, is that part of town. And then I didn't move to Montgomery County or Conroe ISD until I came here to go to work.
Very cool. So you do have a different perspective than some of us at the table.
Yes.
Bailey and I both graduated from Conroe.
Yep.
Lucy, where do you come from in your education?
I graduated from Westlake High School, but I am a Conroe transplant.
That's right.
And is Westlake in Austin, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very cool.
You've never heard of Westlake?
I have, actually.
Okay.
It's close to where my brother and sister-in-law live.
Oh, okay.
So thinking back on our educational journeys and where we started, Dr. Null, do you have a favorite teacher that comes to mind, and why was that your favorite teacher?
Oh, wow. I grew up, both my parents were educators, so I grew up with a different perspective of teachers because my dad was a principal, my mom was a teacher, and where I grew up was a smaller place, little 4A single high school town. So I was always in the schools, and so I knew the teachers at maybe a different level. I don't know that I have one favorite teacher. I had many favorite teachers, I think, but they all had common characteristics that I would say. They had high expectations. I liked folks that could challenge and push, but they also made learning very relevant. And it was they brought in activities or assignments that were real, and I always appreciated that. But I had great teachers all the way through. My entire educational career, I was in the same school system, same school district through the whole way. But those would be the common characteristics. And there's just, like I said, there's so many that would stand out individually.
I feel much the same way. I had a lot of amazing educators in my journey, and I felt like I maybe heard outside perspectives of people that felt demeaned in the classroom, but that was never my experience. I grew up with wonderful educators.
Well, Lucy and I were talking in the last episode about our perspective. Well, it was that, but then we were also just talking, and we were sharing how I don't necessarily have one like you, have one teacher in particular that I really valued, but I do remember Tasha Rigsby was her name.
Oh, yes, indeed.
And she was my cheerleading coach
Yes.
at Conroe High School, principal at the moment, Dr. Smith. And I was so proud to see her the other day. My niece was being inducted to the Honor Society, and she did her, the speech to the students beforehand, and me and my husband were nudging each other like, we know her.
That's right. Yeah.
Very cool.
So
She still has the same spirit
Oh,
of
yeah,
being the cheer coach or the
absolutely.
cheerleader.
She
Still
sure
there.
does, yeah.
Still
She gave a
present.
really good speech. I
Did
was
it make you
fangirling.
want to get up and do a little cheer? Because she would so join you.
No, I didn't have that desire at the time.
I attended one of her professional developments a couple years ago, and she did a GOOD Good Morning cheer.
Oh, yeah?
And I too was a Washington
Yeah.
Junior High cheerleader, so I was like, "Oh, I am ready. Let's go."
That's hilarious.
She's great.
I still call her the head cheerleader. So.
Yeah. So I don't have my Letterman jacket on from Connor High, but I do have my Student Support Services Letterman jacket on
Okay.
today. So,
I love it.
we're
Here we are.
sporting our spirit. So we're kind of dabbling still in the, your experience and perspective as a student.
Okay.
So another question for you. Do you have a favorite memory of when you were little young?
As a
Null,
student?
As a student.
Man, so many good memories.
Yeah?
Like I enjoyed school, and so I know people have different experiences, but I thoroughly enjoyed my my school career. Like I said, a little smaller town, so I had, a lot of really close friends. I mean, I remember, the classic things that y'all. I'm older than y'all, so you probably don't even remember, but like things like paint parties where we used to paint the signs for the football games and getting together and doing those things, and just different activities, going to football games, going to just being involved in all those activities. Now, the single most impactful thing that happened in my school career was I met my wife. So we started dating as sophomores.
Oh, wow.
So
I would
definitely
definitely say you need to say
yes,
that.
that is the single
That
most.
seems like a wise
Yeah, it's
thing
the
to
single
do.
most important thing that happened during my schooling career. We first met in 8th grade, and then we started dating as sophomores.
Okay.
And then here we are.
We have something in common. I met my husband in 8th grade as well.
Wow.
And we dated for a short period of time, but I broke up with him because his head was too big.
You bet you got him right.
Well, he grew
No.
into his head.
Oh, okay, all
But
right.
physically, he had a big head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking like he just was
No,
big for
I
his
was
britches.
no, well
Oh.
that too.
Oh,
but,
okay.
He
All right.
I came around to him. We started dating again our senior year, but yeah.
Okay.
So that's funny.
All
You
right.
know, not something I'm proud of. I don't know why I shared that. I
was
got a
thinking,
little carried
poor
away with
Kevin.
myself. Yeah, poor Kevin.
Yeah. he's
We
not
started
listening
dating
to
as
this.
sophomores. My wife never broke up with me for my
Okay, that's good.
giant
She's a
melon.
good lady.
Like we're okay.
She just, yeah. You're okay.
She tolerated it, I guess. So.
Well, Lucy, you got a question. Let's take the topic.
At what point did you decide that education was a route you wanted to take?
I was a little late to the game. So I knew really starting in about 5th grade what I was going to do with my life. I was convinced. I knew it. I chose my college based on it. I was going to be a pharmacist. I had no doubt that's what I was going to do. I enjoyed the medical side, but I didn't necessarily want to go to med school and be in school for forever. As I said, my wife and I started dating at 16. I couldn't see myself being in school until 30 and not starting a family and all the things. And so I was going to go to pharmacy school. And my freshman year of college, I started working in a pharmacy. And it just took a couple of months for me to go like, this is not for me. And I think in a lot of ways I was fighting against my natural calling.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid growing up, my dad was my junior high principal. And so, it was natural. Everybody would ask me, are you going to be a principal like your dad? Are you going to do that? And so, as a
No, I'm
teenager,
not
no,
doing that.
I will never do that.
Yeah.
Never. And so I just think I was fighting against it. And after that experience during my freshman year, and not enjoying the pharmacy piece, I was kind of searching, like, what will I do? And talking to my dad said, what have you thought about being an athletic trainer? Like you get in the education world, which I think is where you're supposed to be, but you still get to keep the medical piece that you like and doing that. And so I made that switch going into my sophomore year of college and changed my major and changed the route, and that's where it started.
Interesting perspective. I have a similar connection, but it took a much different route. I was sharing earlier when I was in second grade, I wanted to be a dermatologist.
Okay.
But not because I had any interest in people's skin, but because I liked the word and the way it sounded, which should have been my first indicator that I am a wordsmith, which actually has naturally led to education. So I didn't start any dermatology internships where I quickly realized, but I had a journey of some similar type where I didn't quite know what I wanted to do and tried different things at the beginning of college. And then ultimately, I did end up becoming an educator, which is why I'm sitting here with you guys today.
Yeah.
So traveling through that journey, you did kind of take us through being a student toward college and then how you shifted after that. So can you share some favorite memories with us from being an educator, whether teacher, principal, or otherwise?
I mean, there's a million of those, right? I mean, that's one of the greatest parts about being an educator is when you see what your kids do after the fact, right? And so for me, I get this unique perspective. It's been great to be the superintendent here where I was able to teach and serve as a principal because I get to see so many of my former students that are doing great things either in the community but also still within Conroe ISD. So I can go to a campus and walk into a classroom and see a teacher that I was their teacher or I was their principal. And that is the greatest moment ever, just to have that experience. Now it's changed a little bit. I walked into, I won't name the teacher, but I walked into the classroom this year of a young lady who I was her teacher when she was in high school. And I was talking to her at the beginning of the year. I said, "How was your summer?" And she said, "It was great. Had a big birthday." And we're talking about it. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, I turned 40." And I went, "What?"
How does that make sense?
I don't think that math works. But here we are. And so those former students are blossoming and they have great families and so that's my favorite piece. When you look back, accomplishments aren't the biggest. You have those moments of accomplishment, and that's great. It's really about the relationships and the people that you get to know and see and watch be fulfilled in their lives. Those are the greatest moments.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It sounds like an ongoing memory.
Absolutely.
Coming full circle.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What is it that they say? They won't remember what you said or what you taught them, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to segue a little bit.
Okay.
Now that we're talking about, we talked about young Dr. Null. We talked about you, your wife. It's
Yeah.
very sweet. We talked about, you and your journey through figuring out you wanted to absolutely be involved in education in some capacity. So let's go down that road a little bit and
Okay.
talk about some professional questions.
Let's do it.
Okay. So did you always have your sights set for superintendent, or is that something that just kind of happened?
I 100% had no interest.
Okay.
And even being an administrator,
Yeah.
period. None. I was, when I became an athletic trainer, I was working at the Woodlands High School, and I was set that was my career for the rest of my life. I just, that's what I was going to do. And I was happy and content, and that was going to be the plan. And during my second year of teaching, my principal said to me, "Have you ever thought about being an administrator?" And I said, "Haven't given it a single thought. I don't think it interests me." And he said, "Well, I think you should think about it."
He planted a seed.
Planted a seed. He said, "I really think you should think about it." And so, I started to think about it, and I had a master's degree already from the University of Florida, but it was in sports medicine, so I did not have principal certification. Okay. So once he said to kind of spark that in me, I went ahead and signed up for classes through Sam Houston. They're on 242 at their campus, and started taking principal certification classes there. So that was really, it took somebody to plant that in me to start that journey. Now that my principal was Dr. Stockton.
I was going to ask, who was
so
that?
He was the principal. So,
okay.
So that was, the start of an interesting journey of his mentorship with me. but yeah, that's what it took. And then when I became an assistant principal at Knox Junior High, my first assistant principal job, I aspired at that point to be a junior high principal, and I thought that's where I would probably settle in for the rest of my career. My dad was a junior high principal for a long time. I thought that was be my journey. And I did the junior high principal thing. And after a couple of years of being a junior high principal, then there's an interest about being a high school principal, because I enjoyed my time in high school. I like high school kids, and I liked the challenge of a big high school. And so I started to prepare for this learning, right? Just digging in, doing the learning behind the scenes of the things that you have to know to be a high school principal. And when I got that opportunity, I felt like that's where I would probably
that's where it would end. You
right?
would be there.
And then once again, it was Dr. Stockton again. At that time, was kind of pushing me to say, you need to go get a doctorate. You need to go do this. And then that it still probably took a couple of years of being a high school principal before I had any thought about moving to central office or what that would look like. So I think the highlight of that is like it takes, you need special people in your life that can speak some things into you that maybe you don't see or recognize in yourself. And that's what we do as teachers every day, right? We get to speak future into children, but sometimes we're also speaking future into adults, and we have to do that. We need those people.
Absolutely. I relate to that. When I first met my significant other, he specifically said, "Oh, you're admin material." And I did not believe him for 1 second. And so it is interesting to see how our journeys shift and those seeds that have been planted. And so in a lot of ways, my favorite teachers, though I had wonderful educators inside the classroom, some of my favorite teachers have definitely been those people in my outside life that I've met along the way.
I love that you call them teachers too. I really love that. I'm going to take that and just ponder that while I'm on vacation.
That's nice.
I'm going to observe all my teachers this week.
That's right.
I learn from everybody, that's for sure. I love telling students that in the classroom. I'm like, do you think I learned from you? And they're surprised. They're like, yes, I learned a lot from you young ones. So that brings us to our next question, Dr. Null. We've heard some of your perspective on your journey through the different positions. And so surely in those roles, you've faced some tough decisions. And we're curious, where you draw your outside influence or strength from, which I think you've spoken to a little bit. But if you could share some advice or wisdom with us of how you face those tough decisions.
I think for any of us, you have to be rooted in something, right? Like we're all faced with a lot of decisions, but what is the foundation in which you work off of? And for me, it's just kind of doing the right thing and doing the right thing by people, treating everyone the right way, respecting each individual, and truly loving the kids and the adults that you're responsible for. So I've always just kind of viewed it as, we make a million decisions. You're not going to be right in every decision. You're not. It's impossible to be right. But what you can control as a decision maker is that I will always do right. The decision could end up being wrong, but there always can be made for the right reasons and with built upon the right foundation and with a pure heart. And that's something I've always just tried to do. And I mean, there's plenty of decisions that I've gotten wrong over the years, but I would hope that people would see that they've never been wrong for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Like it's been an attempt to do the right thing, and I would hope that comes through. I mean, try to express that. And
absolutely, it does.
And I have the pressure as I sit here. I say these things like I'm worried at any moment that Miss Kimple here is going to raise her hand and fact check me, because she worked in a lot of years in buildings with me when I was a principal. So she at any moment she might just say, "Hang on, I'm going to have to fact check him here. I'm not sure that's true."
No, I don't remember a wrong decision.
Okay.
But you have said we've worked together for a long time, and I've known you for a long time. And I must say, Dr. Stockton did a great job of planting a seed, because you learned very well from him.
Yeah.
Dr. Null did the same thing and planted a seed with my husband, Chris, and he is the reason why, why he's the principal that he is. So With all that said, let's move on. How do you stay grounded?
I mean, to me, that's pretty easy. I mean, I'm a teacher. That my title, I really don't feel like my title has changed. I'm a teacher. I have different responsibilities today than I had 25 years ago when I first became a teacher here. But I view myself as a teacher. When I get up in the mornings in my house, I'm married to a teacher as well. So in my house, we don't get up and go to work. We get up and go to school. That hasn't changed. Now, I don't report to a school building every day, but I go to school every day. That's what we do in my house. And so it's like staying grounded is pretty easy. You just stay connected to what's going on, and you continue to try to serve people and keep your relationships with people so that you understand what the challenges are that everyone is facing, and recognizing that we're all facing challenges. Like, life is hard for everybody. And the hardest part of that really is knowing that you can't fix everything. Like, I can look around the district and find 50 things that we could be better at. And just like y'all can see that too, and teachers can see it in the classroom, and parents can see it, and kids can see it. But we also have a finite amount of resources. And so we, in the perfect world, we could fix all those things, but you can't. And so I think when you stay engaged in conversation with people, you keep your relationships, and you stay open-minded, then you stay connected. I don't know, grounded is the word, but it's connected. I just want to be connected to what is actually happening in the school district. And it can be a challenge because we are so big, and I get pulled in a lot of directions. So you could lose that. Being married to a teacher helps. Right?
I'm sure you hear. Yeah.
It does, because I can see and feel and hear those challenges, and she has the same challenges that any other teacher has, right? She teaches pre-K, and there are challenging students, and there are students that probably need maybe greater assistance than they can receive in a general ed classroom. But as a pre-K teacher, you're going to always serve them in the pre-K classroom before they get that extra assistance. So I hear all of those and feel all of that challenge and pain and worry that happens. So that also helps, because I get to see it from that perspective.
And I can honestly say you're still the same person. Like, some leaders say, oh, the position has not changed me. I am who I am, and you are the same person that I sat across from whenever you took a chance and said, okay, you can be the crazy Spanish teacher at P Junior High, and look where I am now, thanks to you and this great district. And
the only thing that feels different now, the one big advantage I had over Dr. Stockton was, he was so tall that he couldn't blend in anywhere.
I was about to say he didn't blend.
He couldn't blend anywhere.
He stood out.
Yeah, so if he was anywhere, everybody would see him and want to talk to him, which is nice, and that's great. And so it was really to my advantage coming in, is like, I could blend, like, put on a ball cap and shorts and a t-shirt, and I could go to Costco and no one would ever pay attention or whatever, until COVID and YouTube happened. COVID and YouTube changed that, which is, it's still great, to go to Costco or wherever, right, and walk around. But the only difference for me now is I'm going to get an opportunity to talk to a lot of people. But you just have to remember that, you can't show up in your rattiest t-shirt and shorts, because people are going to walk up and aren't you Dr. Null? You look like this. So, okay, I got to at least, at least have to be presentable. But that's really been the only change.
You could say, I look like him, but
who
is that Dr. Null?
Everybody
talks about.
I don't know that guy.
That's not me.
Yeah, I don't know him.
I need to meet this guy.
Right.
Look him up.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about, the teachers in your life and learning from even the youngest teachers. And I was going to say earlier, but it does kind of help me in my next question. So one of the things I always tell my own children is that I think it's pretty cool and pretty interesting that they're watching me grow up as I'm watching them grow up. And I think it's the same. You're talking about, being a lifelong learner and never knowing, where you're going to head. Every time I talk about my kids, it makes me feel like I'm going to get a little emotional. So I'm going to keep on talking past this moment. But thinking of the other learners, the young teachers, even the experienced teachers, new administrators or old administrators, people who are switching campuses or joining our district, What advice would you give to someone, any of them?
Wow.
If any educator asked, what's your advice? What would that be?
Well, I mean, two things that I've learned during my career is, number one, it's about relationships, period. And I don't care if you're in the classroom or you're in any other position, it's about relationships.
Yeah.
You're going to be successful and you're going to help those that you have an opportunity to serve be successful. It's about building relationships with them and trust. And we know this, right? Like
Right.
you can't
Right.
teach them until they will allow you to teach them. And they will not allow you to teach them until they trust you and believe that you care for them. And so when if you can build that, you can do it. And it's the same,
Yeah.
it doesn't change for adults, right?
Right.
As we're going through, we
It's
we
the
need to
human
help.
experience.
Yes, we have to help people grow, and in order for people to allow you to help them grow, to allow you to coach them, they have to believe that you have their best interest in mind. And once they truly believe that, they can take coaching because it doesn't feel like criticism. It
Right.
feels like you really care about me and you're trying to help me get better. So that, I think that's really powerful, and you stay focused on that. The other thing that it's advice that I have to always remind myself of, because I'm not good at this, is you need to enjoy the moment. It's one of my weaknesses. I'm very driven. I'm a little too perfectionist. I'm a little too worried about everything being perfect all the time, and so I don't always enjoy the moment like I wish I would. You know, for me, it's kind of like, okay, great, that happened. Now, what's the next?
Right.
And instead of stopping and just enjoying it, you know, like I think now, like if I went back today and was a principal, I'd be such a better principal today than I was when I was serving as a principal. But that would be the number one thing I would do differently. Is I would just enjoy it more. You know, I think I was so stressed about always trying to make it perfect for everybody and make it work. And we would reach milestones, or there'd be these great moments, and I'd be like, okay, great, all right, what's next? Instead of just stopping and saying, this is special, and absorb it all. I continue to try to work on that. It's not my strength. You know, I am bad about just what's next kind of deal. So I just sort of remind everybody that, like, we're fortunate to have these opportunities, and they're special, and special things happen every day in schools.
Yeah.
Enjoy them, because the other stuff's going to happen too.
Yeah.
That's special,
Yeah.
and not always special
those
good.
joyful little
Yes.
moments will help you get through the
Oh,
tough moments
absolutely.
that are inevitable.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to relive your junior high principal days, at least one day, I'm sure
Yeah, I'm
there's
sure-
plenty of them that would make your dream come true.
You know, I'll show up. I show up and do lunch duty like once or twice, and I'm like, okay, all right, it's time to move on. Like I did it. I did my 30 minutes of junior high lunch
Yeah,
duty. I
yeah.
remember what it was like. And
You enjoyed the moment.
yes, I did. Yeah.
And then moved on.
It's easier to enjoy the moment when you just go one day and
Yeah.
not 170 whatever in a row. Then it's
Yeah.
a little easier.
Doesn't feel like endurance at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's too funny.
Well, I certainly relate to a lot of that, and you said something about relationships that stuck out to me that reminded me of one of my favorite quotes that I draw inspiration from, which is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Ah.
And that really drives the work that I do in my daily work with students and teachers, because I could have, textbook knowledge, but it doesn't matter until they can really feel that authenticity in heart, which does drive us to our last question.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite personal quote or motto?
Wow. Well, I don't know that I have a singular one. The quote you just shared is one that I do share often. Not a profound quote, but I think if you're just going to try it, like you said, you're a bit of a wordsmith. You like to have words, right? You want to have words. I think if I was going to I needed one quote to just live by or have, or if we're gonna go the home goods route and buy a sign to hang on the wall, right? It would just be LOVE, period.
Mm-hmm.
I think love is significant to everything that we do, and when we talk about that word, to me it has so much significance, because it's not only about how you treat people, but it's also about what you expect from people. because you think about the people that you truly love. You would never lower your expectations for somebody that you truly love.
Right.
Because you want the best for them. Like you want the final outcome for them to be the very best.
Right.
You don't achieve that by lowering expectations. So for me, like it's that word love because it carries so much weight. It's about how you treat people. It's about how you care for people, but it's also about the expectations, and it's about how you serve. Because if you truly love someone, you will knock down every barrier in the way for them to make sure they're successful in life. And if we roll that way as teachers in the classroom, we roll that way as those of us that aren't privileged to be in the classroom in front of kids every day, but we have a chance to serve those that are. If that's how we roll for the teachers and truly love them, then just beautiful things happen. So I think that would be the reminder word for me.
Thank you, Dr. Null. Very profound.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have, this is podcast number 2, episode number 2 for this season. And so we're starting a new tradition. So this is only our second time doing it. So it's called A Drop of Joy.
Wow.
Yeah. It's,
Okay.
just
I like it.
drop it in the bucket for the end. It's kind of like drop the mic, but instead it's the joy. And so we're each going to go around and share what's our drop of joy for the day.
Okay.
So I'll go first. My drop of joy is I'm wearing my Austin Strong shirt today. I was a teacher and paraprofessional at Austin, and I'm proud to be such a part of a strong community. And I'm wearing it in memory of Calvin Ortiz today.
Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you, Bailey. I'll share my drop of joy. My drop of joy is actually that my significant other and I are both podcasting today.
What?
So he actually has the setup at the house, in-house studio, and he'll be joining a couple members of our community podcasting. So I feel very connected to that, which is my drop of joy.
Well, that's cool. You're going to have to tell me later where to watch it.
Yeah, I sure will.
Or
What is your drop?
listen to it.
I'm up?
Yeah. I'll go
All
last.
right. Mine is a little challenging. It's a drop of joy that exists. I'm just working to find it.
Okay.
So I have our youngest daughter is graduating from nursing school in just a few weeks, which is great. Really proud of her. And because she's so ambitious in this world, she has accepted a pediatric ICU nursing job at one of the biggest and best pediatric hospitals in the country. That happens to be in Columbus, Ohio. Which is a little hard on Dad, right? But as we are approaching Thanksgiving break, we're going to go next week and look for an apartment for her, and so it is joyful. A little nervous for Dad, but it is joyful.
Speaking of kids, my drop of joy is that she's coming home. Hopefully, I haven't heard since yesterday, but she's coming home for Thanksgiving. And as we were sitting here talking, you know that she is going to be an educator. And if she graduates and chooses to come to CISD, she would have been led by, you're going to have 3 generations. Her, Chris, and myself. And that's really cool.
That'd be very cool. We look forward to hiring her.
We'll see where she
We need her
goes.
quickly. Tell her hurry up.
Bring some
You
friends.
tell her.
That's right. Yeah, bring all your
can have
friends.
your friends.
Bring all your friends.
We do need for it to hurry up.
Yes,
So she's
yeah.
off my paycheck.
Right.
Yes. But
Well, that bucket of joy is feeling very full. Thank you guys for sharing. Dr. Null, thank you so much for joining us here at our table today. We enjoyed getting to know you a little more personally and professionally, digging deeper into your educational journey. So for those listening, we do have more special guests coming up this season, so stay tuned. And if you haven't listened to season 1 of the podcast, dig in. We'll see you next time.
Oh, are we going to do it?
yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do it.
That's our sign off.
I was not prepared for that.
He wasn't prepared for that.